Imagine standing outside Buckingham Palace on a bright London morning. Tourists everywhere, cameras clicking, laughter echoing in the air. The ceremonial guards in their tall bearskin hats and scarlet uniforms, standing motionless as always, are the center of attention. But on this particular day, something happened that no one could have predicted. Something so wild, so terrifying, and so unbelievable that it shook everyone who witnessed it. Because out of nowhere, a tiger appeared and charged at one of the royal guards. This is not just the story of an animal attack. It is the story of duty, discipline, and unshakable courage. It is about how one man in uniform stood tall against nature's most fearsome predator, without flinching, without breaking formation. And how that moment became a legend. Before we dive into the unbelievable event, we need to understand who the Royal Guards are. The Royal Guard is more than just a tourist attraction. Behind the stoic faces and the motionless posture lies a history of loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. For centuries, the Queen's Guard, now the King's Guard, has stood watch over Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and other royal residences. They are elite soldiers from regiments like the Grenadier Guards, Coldstream Guards, Scots Guards, Irish Guards, and Welsh Guards. Their job is not just ceremonial. They are real soldiers, trained in combat, battle-hardened, and fully armed. But there's one rule that defines them above all: never abandon your post. No matter what happens, tourists teasing them, harsh weather, or unexpected disturbances, the Guard does not move unless absolutely necessary. That discipline is what makes them a symbol of Britain's strength and tradition. But what happens when the challenge is not a laughing tourist or a barking dog, but a tiger? Now, you might be wondering, how on earth does a tiger appear outside Buckingham Palace? London is not exactly the jungle. On this day, fate set the stage in the most bizarre way. A small traveling circus had been setting up on the outskirts of London. Among its animals was a massive Bengal tiger, powerful, majestic, and unpredictable. Through a combination of negligence and bad luck, the tiger escaped. It roamed through the city, sending panic into the streets. Authorities scrambled to track it down. But London is huge, and the tiger was fast. Hours later, as if guided by destiny, the tiger found its way toward the busiest, most heavily watched place in the city, Buckingham Palace. It was a sunny morning. Thousands of tourists gathered to watch the famous changing of the guard. Children sat on their parents' shoulders. Selfies filled the air. Street musicians played nearby. The guards stood like statues, their rifles at their sides, their eyes fixed forward. Among them was one young guardsman, his name later revealed as Private James Cartwright, a soldier known for his calmness and discipline. No one knew that in just a few minutes, Cartwright would face something no royal guard had faced in modern history. It began with a sound. A low, guttural growl echoed through the palace gates. At first, tourists thought it was a prank, maybe a speaker or a sound effect. But then, from the corner of the crowd, people saw it. A tiger. A full-grown, striped, muscular beast, its golden eyes fixed on the movement of the crowd. Screams erupted. Parents grabbed their children. People ran in every direction. Cameras dropped to the ground, forgotten. The tiger leapt over a barrier, its claws scraping the pavement, and landed just a few meters from the line of guards. Imagine the moment. The rule drilled into every guard: do not break formation. Do not abandon your post. Even if chaos breaks out, the guard remains. The tourists had fled, but Private Cartwright was still there, motionless, rifle in hand, eyes forward. The tiger crouched low, muscles rippling under its striped fur, ready to pounce. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Would the guard run? Would he panic like the rest? No. Instead, he slowly shifted his grip on the rifle, lowering the bayonet into position. Not out of aggression, but out of readiness. The message was clear. I will not move. If you want to get past me, you will have to face me. The tiger roared, the sound shaking the ground. With terrifying speed, it lunged forward, claws extended. Gasps filled the air from those still watching behind barriers. Cartwright stood his ground. At the last second, he sidestepped just enough to avoid the direct strike, swinging his rifle upward. The bayonet clashed against the tiger's shoulder, not enough to kill, but enough to shock the animal. The beast stumbled, surprised that its prey had not fled. Again it circled, growling, trying to find an opening. Again, Cartwright stood still, eyes locked on the predator. Every nerve in his body screamed for survival, but his training screamed louder, hold your post. Do not break. By now, news cameras had turned, and live streams captured the unbelievable scene. The whole world was about to watch a royal guard face down a tiger in the middle of London. The palace gates were locked, police sirens wailed in the distance, but in those few seconds, only two figures existed. The soldier. The beast. The tiger lunged again, and this time, Cartwright thrust the bayonet forward with precision. It did not pierce fatally, but it startled the animal, making it recoil. That hesitation was enough. Armed officers stormed in, tranquilizer rifles raised. Within moments, they fired. The tiger staggered, roared one last time, and collapsed onto the pavement, sedated. Silence fell. And then, applause. Tourists, still shaking from fear, erupted into cheers. Some cried. Some shouted the guard's name. Private Cartwright did not smile, did not wave. He simply returned to his stance, rifle at his side, eyes forward, as if nothing had happened. The incident became instant world news. Headlines screamed. Royal Guard faces tiger attack. British soldiers' discipline saves lives. Moment of courage at Buckingham Palace. Psychologists later analyzed the guard's reaction. Most humans, they said, would have run. Instinct demands it. But training, discipline, and duty had reprogrammed his mind to resist fear. Cartwright himself, when interviewed, gave only one answer. I was doing my job. The story of that day went beyond the palace gates. It became a lesson in courage for millions. It showed that bravery is not about being fearless, but about standing firm in the face of fear. Schools told the story to children. Documentaries replayed the footage. Tourists still visit Buckingham Palace, some whispering about the day the tiger came. And Private Cartwright? He returned to duty the very next day, standing tall as ever, refusing to be treated as a hero. Because to him, that's what a royal guard does. In the years that followed, the story turned into legend. Some doubted it. Some exaggerated it. But those who were there, those who saw the tiger's golden eyes and the guard's unflinching stance, knew the truth. It was the day a soldier's duty was tested not by war, not by enemy soldiers, but by the raw power of nature itself. And he passed. So, what do we learn from this story? That courage does not always roar. Sometimes, it stands perfectly still. Sometimes, it wears a scarlet uniform and a tall bearskin hat, and it refuses to move even when the world itself is running away. The day the tiger attacked the royal guard will forever be remembered as a moment when discipline, honor, and bravery stood taller than fear. If this story moved you, if it made you believe again in human courage, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because the world is full of untold stories like this one, stories that remind us that even in the darkest, most terrifying moments, true strength reveals itself.